A question often raised in left-wing circles is that of the unity of the left. According to those who raised this question, it'd be desirable if everyone on the vast and very vaguely defined left could unite to form some kind of giant left-wing organization which would somehow encompass everyone from social democrats to anarchists to Marxist-Leninist Maoists. While this kind of left unity certainly comes across as a great slogan, it papers over the very real principled opposition between revolutionaries and reformists on the left. While some who promote this idea are genuinely well-intentioned, such as those who are new to left-wing politics and who don't yet fully understand why there are so many different left-wing ideologies, the slogan of left unity is too often advanced in an attempt to bring revolutionaries under the leadership of reformism, an attempt to rally radically different sections of the left behind their chosen representatives of parliamentarism in an unprincipled unity, which historically hasn't worked out so well for revolutionaries. But as Lenin points out, the slogan of left unity is a popular one, and therefore revolutionaries must deal with it comprehensively to put to bed any misconceptions of elitism, puritanism, or ivory towers, and outline the true basis for the different forms of unity of revolutionary and progressive forces that exist, rooted firmly in the science of Marxism, rather than bourgeois liberal co-optational approaches. And importantly, there are different types of left unity. Not just the drive for one big tense left-wing organisation, but also single-issue tactical unity, unity in mass organisations of the United Front, and unity within revolutionary parties themselves. As explained by Lenin, what's necessary for the success of the revolution is primarily the unity of Marxists. Marxist unity is based around the unity of revolutionary principles and the formation of a revolutionary party of the new type to lead that struggle. In order to bring about principled unity between the revolutionaries and the broader progressive forces, the Revolutionary Party establishes a united front as the organ of bringing the broad masses into the struggle. Below the unity of the party and the united front, there can also be a tactical unity of broader left-wing forces on single-issue campaigns, such as fighting fascism. So today, we're not going to be discussing whether or not this or that group on the left can be friends. We're instead going to dive a bit deeper into the matter from a Marxist strategic perspective and take a look at the three main forms of unity, starting with wide-reaching tactical unity, then narrowing in slightly to the united front, and finally concluding with the highest form of left unity, the unity of the Revolutionary Party itself.
And this is from, I think this is Marxist Paul, if you wanted to look him up on YouTube, Marxist Paul. It's an Irish revolutionary. And the title of the video is called Left Unity, When, Where, Why, a Marxist Strategic Perspective. Because this is one of the first things when we're talking about a unification. Well, what do you mean by unification? What are we doing in this coalition? What are the boundaries of this coalition? And when we're talking about it and putting it on paper and thinking about it strategically, these are the three types. Tactical unity, which we're actually seeing with the pro-Palestinian movement. And then it's the United Front, unity of the revolutionaries and progressives. That's when progressives and revolutionaries and what we more say progressive, social democrats, and maybe radicals or non-establishment unite. That's a united front. And then then the Revolutionary Party is when this is a uniting of all Marxists, of all true believers, of all those who practice, who understand or follow the ideology. Because we're not aligned the same ideology, you can wipe out that last one, the Revolutionary Party. That's not the one we're talking about when the question by Bree is saying, can the left reunite? Because that's the first question we must answer is who is she referring to when she says the left? Yeah, let's get into some of the detail before we bring up the video. When we're talking about single issue, the tactical unity, you can see that displayed right now in the pro-Palestinian movement. That's where you see a tactical unity. It's a single issue, just Palestine, stopping a genocide, There's more in it, not just Palestine overall, because that's where we start beginning to differ. Is it stopping and ending this genocidal military campaign? And we didn't even really have to discuss it. We didn't come together as a group, but you see everybody who is taking a stand for Palestine against this genocide, and you look around in that battlefield and you'll see Cenk, you'll see Crystal Ball, you're gonna see Jimmy Dore, you're gonna see Friarella, you're gonna see the Vanguard, you're gonna see RBN. Even if we all showed up, you get what I'm saying? So this, even without a sort of formal discussion, we are all in this tactical unity. This is what's possible. This is what Marxists talk about when we're talking about having allyship, when we're talking about coalitions with liberals and progressives. We're talking about this on a single issue. I think one of the examples you gave in the video was fascism, like fighting fascism. But then that presents this question. I thought it was very fast. I thought it would be interesting to discuss. We have rainbow flag fascists saying the only fascism right now is the red fascism. And liberals, progressives largely align with that. So in the video, when it says fighting stuff like fascism, what are we talking about in this situation we're in right now? Because as we're saying Donald Trump is fascist, Joe Biden administration and the Zionists who bought all of the government are banning TikTok because people are learning the truth and going around the corporate military CIA industrial complex narrative, which is real fascism. So from the perspective of what the video said, from our perspective, non-establishment radicals, we're saying the fascist fight is against the Biden administration right now. That's the fascist fight. Instead, they're saying, no. The bigger fascist fight is against Trump. So we're literally at this crossroads, and I'm going to let him play this last 2 minutes. I'm going to let him talk about this again. This last 2 minutes of the video. Actually, I do want to discuss parts of the video. So let's start from the beginning, because there is some other things I did just want to point out before we get into discussion, because we're framing this, we're using the Brianna Joy Gray video or interview with Cenk Uygur to frame a broader discussion that is needed in groups of the left. Because we bring this up, radicals or non-established will bring these topics up, but progressives and liberals and those who are aligned with those people don't really join in when we have those conversations on our own. So when they broach the question, we as non-establishment and radicals have to jump on it, because this is the time we have their ear to discuss these types of things. So this is a good opportunity right here to do that and discuss this in a more strategic sense, not just as another stream conversation, but to really take the opportunity to have, while we have everybody here who may be progressive liberals, who may be social democrats or democratic socialists or communists, anarchists. Hopefully we have a little bit of everything. If you label yourself any of those, put it in there. Labels aren't the top important thing, but in this context, it is kind of fun and interesting to talk about that. So whatever you label yourself, if it's a combination of things, just don't put a whole definition. Try to keep it simple so I can toss them up there so people can easily say, oh, a democratic socialist, get that, a socialist, this, whatever it is. Please try to keep it simple. I'll toss some of them up. I forget what I was just about to show. Let's play, and then I'll bring up the parts that I want to discuss, and we'll move on to the interview. So let me just read this. This is from Vladimir, or this is from Lenin. Unity is a great thing and a great slogan, but what the workers' cause needs is the unity of Marxists, not unity between Marxists and opponents of distorters of Marxism. That is a very poignant point, but let's continue the video.
A question often raised in left-wing circles is that of the unity of the left. According to those who raised this question, it'd be desirable if everyone on the vast and very vaguely defined left could unite to form some kind of giant left-wing organisation which would somehow encompass everyone from social democrats to anarchists to Marxist-Leninist Maoists. While this kind of left unity certainly comes across as a great slogan, it papers over the very real principled opposition between revolutionaries and reformists on the left. While some who promote this idea are genuinely well-intentioned, such as those who are new to left-wing politics.
Yes, and I do believe, posing the question, I do believe Bree is in good faith. I don't, he gives two examples of the two types of people who usually pose this sort of question is those that are genuinely thinking of good-hearted and it's coming from a good perspective, and I think that is Bree in that context. But then there are those who are not Bree, who are not, and I would say almost even a lot of the Bernie Sanders industrial complex when they're talking about uniting, generally is from a good place. I would say, I wouldn't say generally is for something, but I would say TYT would be a different. I would say this different to say TYT because of the Katzenberg money. So I would say he might be the second half of this part that is discussed here. Let me just rewind it so you can get the full context here. Here we go.
Genuinely well-intentioned, such as those who are new to left-wing politics and who don't yet fully understand why there are so many different left-wing ideologies. The slogan of left unity is too often advanced in an attempt to bring revolutionaries under the leadership of reformism. And
that is the point. And you get this from Democrats a lot. You talk about unity. You talk about unity. And that's typically used, like Bernie Sanders' debate, to go out and get the non-establishment, to go out and get the radical people and bring them back to the Democratic Party. Marianne Williamson was going to attempt to do that this time, but that failed. Possibly Cornel West. We'll see what happens in November, by the time November. But he is more doing it, functionally doing that. Coming in, setting fire to Jill Stein and all that kind of stuff. So he's functionally doing that. But anyway, the point being, a lot of times, especially from the Democratic Party standpoint, this is used to put radical non-establishment sentiment under the leadership of reformists. That's typically this, let's unify the lesser of two evil. That is also part of that, is that it's trying to take those who are more radical under the leadership, the management of reformists. It's to keep that bottled up. So let's continue. But I thought that was one of the more important points here.
An attempt to rally radically different sections of the left behind their chosen representatives of parliamentarism in an unprincipled unity, which historically hasn't worked out so well for revolution.
So unprincipled unity is what we need to start referring to that as. This unity is unprincipled. What good comes from an unprincipled unity? Doesn't funding Ukraine, isn't that an unprincipled unity? Your unity with the Democratic Party, which is unprincipled because you claim to be anti-war, progressive Democrat. So you are aligned within right now in an unprincipled unity, and you say it all the time that what the Democratic Party does and what Joe Biden does, I don't always agree with. Most times I don't. But this is the side I've chose to unite with. So this unprincipled unity has gotten you what? Exactly. Nancy Pelosi and then Hakeem Jeffries that they all voted for. Unprincipled unity. And now this unprincipled unity has morphed into Genocide Joe and a genocide. You see what unprincipled unity gets you? It's not a whole lot of good. Let's continue.
revolutionaries. But as Lenin points out, the slogan of left unity is a popular one, and therefore revolutionaries must deal with it comprehensively to put to bed any misconceptions of elitism, puritanism, or ivory towers, and outline the true basis for the different forms of unity of revolutionary and progressive forces that exist, rooted firmly in the science of Marxism, rather than bourgeois liberal co-optational approaches. And importantly,
so it is a different perspective, this video, because that's exactly what we deal in. The co-opted version, the bourgeoisie co-opted version of what we're talking about. I can go into some examples, but I need to stay here. So
there are different types of left unity, not just the drive for one big tense left-wing organisation, but also single-issue tactical unity, unity in mass organisations of the United Front, and unity within revolutionary parties themselves. As explained by Lenin, what's necessary for the success of the revolution is primarily the unity of Marxists. Marxist unity is based around the unity of revolutionary principles and the formation of a revolutionary party of the new type to lead that struggle.
So this is where consciousness is raised. This is what actually Barbecue in Haiti is trying to do. He's in the process of trying to raise the consciousness of the people of Haiti to get all of these foreign troops, these foreign people who's controlling our country out. So he right now is attempting to raise the consciousness. Now, it wouldn't be necessarily the unity of Marxists, but this is what he's in the process of trying to do right now.
In order to bring about principled unity between the revolutionaries and the broader progressive forces, the Revolutionary Party establishes a united front as the organ of bringing the broad masses into the struggle. Below the unity of the party and the united front, there can also be a tactical unity of broader left-wing forces on single-issue campaigns, such as fighting fascism. So today, we're not going to be discussing.
So, and I can bring the video down. So, such as fighting fascism, I just wanted to end on that point, and I already gave the example of how we're in a predicament right now where supposedly this is the time where we should be able to have a unity, but they're saying fascism Trump and we're saying fascism Biden. And what we feel is fascism Biden has material proof. All you have is rhetoric. He said he's going to Muslim ban. They're banning TikTok right now.